This episode is great for visual artists, people interested in stop motion, and people that don't like social media.
If I'm like 40 and I'm still kicking it with my art and like I get this like huge opportunity, like probably I'd take that.
This week we welcome Ruby Ford, a Brisbane-based visual artist and painter.
But like I've been very creative all my life. It's just been very sporadic and non-linear.
This week we talked about using social media as an artist.
Yeah, I'd rather paint the stuff than post about it.
Stop motion.
I had this one that I did. I think I was like 9 when I made it. And it's this like plasticine woman.
And not needing a formal education for art.
Like no one's looking at your degree as an artist. Like the only time that degrees really matter, I think, is if you're going into like nursing.
Yeah? Set, action. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Froe Show. My name is Frank Mencken. I'm joined as always by my beautiful co-host, Joe Murray.
Hello, Frank.
And we are joined by another beautiful guest this week, Ruby Ford.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Ruby, you're a visual artist. You're also a resident here at Vent Space.
I am.
Who was just saying that you don't use the space enough.
I don't.
Do you want to kind of give your bio of what art do you make? What sort of stuff are you into?
So like I kind of do a bit of everything in like my personal stuff, but like I guess commercially, like I'm a painter, a bit of a visual artist.
Right.
That's about it. Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Like painting?
Yeah.
Like the visual arts part? I started when I left high school, so like 2019, I think I like properly got into it towards the end of the year. But like I've been very creative all my life. It's just been very sporadic and non-linear.
Creative with painting or just like
everything. Like when I was 11, I had a huge like stop motion phase. And I was just like,
was it Lego stop motion?
like I dabbled. Yeah.
I dabbled.
Yeah, it was like literally anything I could get my hands on. I was like, yo, I could make a fucking stop motion film out of this. Like,
oh, sick.
Yeah, so it was like plasticine. I'd find like just like garbage, and I'd just be like, yeah, like this cereal box is a character, and I just
that's
like
my little guy.
Yeah, like I'd just make just random shit. Like there was never any storyline per se. Like it was really just like stuff moving around.
Right.
So that was like 2 years or something where that was my hyperfixation. And then like, yeah, I got really into sewing at one point, and then like crochet at another, and like textile art. And I've just really done everything.
So you just have been like hella creative the whole time.
Pretty much.
I want to talk about stop motion more for a second.
Okay.
But do you still have any of that?
I have some of it. I had this one that I did. I think I was like 9 when I made it. And it's this like plasticine woman. And basically the storyline, I'm so like my father's daughter, but basically the storyline, it's called The Bad Luck Day, and she knocks on someone's door and they're not home, and then this like cow comes over and just like takes a dump on her, and then she gets hit by a car and her head just like topples off, and there's just like blood spurting. Like that's the storyline. Yeah. So
it sounds really motivated, like the storyline. Definitely,
sure.
I see a 3-act story there.
Yeah.
Lots of really intense and deep story beats.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, I still have that. Yeah, it's fun to look back on.
I really want to see that. Genuinely.
I'll show you. Yeah.
I always think of that. Those two little the stop motion ones, and this is going back to like the mid 2000s. But do you remember those? That was like the little yellow fat one, and then the blue, like skinny one. It was like Oob and Goob or something like that.
Yes, I do.
Really deep in
Is
your...
that on like ABC or something? Yeah.
Very generally like...
Or do you remember like Soup Opera? Do you remember that?
Yes, that was with the weird mouths, right?
Yeah, like the vegetables. Ba-dum, dum, 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 dum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Really just like digging into the recesses of my mind here.
Yeah, that was my inspiration.
The soup opera?
Yeah.
I feel like the soup opera had a lot less
murder,
maiming, murder and blood. Yeah. That was definitely more of a kid's show, I feel.
Some could say.
So you did the stop motion stuff. Was that kind of like your foray into creative stuff then?
I really just can't pinpoint it at
Right.
all when I started being creative. Like, I think of myself as a kid and I just see like a creative kid. Like
with
just
crayons
yeah,
just going
just
hectic.
like, yeah, literally anything that I could make, I was there. Like I was doing it.
This represents my happiness.
Yeah.
You're writing artist statements at 8.
Yeah, right.
Was like parents creative or
My
family
mum
members?
is an artist. She's she's kind of had a similar thing. Like she got really into like hyper realistic like portraiture and like graphite like drawings and stuff. And then she got really into like pastel work, and now she does sculpture work where her Saturdays she just goes to the dump shop and just picks up garbage and turns it into a sculpture and sells it for $400. Like
That's sick.
yeah, it's fucking crazy. And then my dad is like a musician.
Right.
Yeah.
You could pick me up and sell me for $400.
No.
You didn't like that
Let's
one?
not take that tangent any further.
And your dad's a musician. What does your dad do?
He's just like a musician in the sense that he like fucks around at home a bit. You
Yeah.
know, he's got like heaps of guitars, and like if you ask him about guitars, like you'll have him talking for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Like yeah, he's musically creative. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
So you kind of grew up in like a creative household then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. My dad like very much encouraged all of my art. Like he was basically just like, do whatever you want, just don't wake me up until 10. So I was just like
a true guitarist.
yeah, truly. So I'd just like find rubbish in the kitchen and just like make like faces out of cardboard boxes and stuff, and just like present it to him at 10 o'clock and just be like, look what I made. And he was always so like, wow, well done. And just yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So then you said you did crochet and sewing and stuff as well. Was that clothes, or were you making like...
Yeah, mostly clothes. I still do it a little bit here and there, but it just wasn't something that like super caught on. But yeah, like I went through a phase where I was just making like 100 dresses a week, and they were just like the most ridiculous looking
Wait.
dresses.
100 dresses a week?
Okay, like an exaggeration.
Okay,
But like
okay.
I was making a lot of dresses. Like I was going to op shops and just finding like old tablecloths and stuff and just like calling
Right.
it a skirt, you know?
I was like doing that math in my head. I was like 100 dresses a week. That's 10 a day. That's like 2 an hour.
Yeah, I was very, very
You were
good.
going.
Yeah.
You were a full-on
Yeah.
sweatshop at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then, so how did you get into doing painting then? Like that's kind of your main
Like,
focus now.
I think, so my mum would always say like how much she hated painting. And so like she lives in New South Wales. So when I was like 18 and I actually started, you know, becoming creative on my own, I was just kind of like, maybe I shouldn't dismiss painting so much. And like, I just had a go at it. And I was like, hey, this is actually kind of awesome. And yeah, that's basically...
Hey,
I
this is
tried it one day
actually
and I
kinda
liked
awesome.
it. Yeah.
What made it stick then? Why have you stuck with it for years?
Literally no idea. Like I just had lots of fun with it. It just turned out to be, I think my favorite part about painting is mixing the colors. So like for all of my
I
paintings,
love that
I'm
that's
just
not
like,
the first time we've heard that.
really?
That's what Micah said too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Mm.
What? That's like a
It's the
whole
best
creative
part.
process in itself,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
I like one thing that really like interests a few of my like painter friends is that I don't own black paint. Like I only own like white, yellow, red and blue and purple, because purple's hard to mix. But yeah, like I just like the mixing part so much that I really like to limit myself.
Is it like a sensory thing, or is it more just like...
It's just pretty.
you like the
Yeah.
way it looks? You can make
Yeah.
some hella Instagram reels.
I could.
People
Yeah.
love that stuff.
Yeah.
They love it.
I could do that actually.
Yeah. There's like a whole Instagram page that I stumbled across the other day that's just like a lady that makes a smoothie every morning. And the smoothie, like by default, is white. And she just adds like powdered food dye into it every day.
Nice.
And it just like, it's like one of those mixes that has swirls in like 4 little quadrants and goes like in.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So then
I
when
think
she
I've seen
mixes
some of
it-
those on like
yeah, when
TikTok.
she-
Yeah.
when she mixes it, it goes like,
Yeah.
makes these sick little...
Yeah, I think I've seen that too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you get the sound effect?
Yes.
The
Yeah, it was beautiful.
I don't
Thank
know
you.
what the word I'm looking for is.
It's-
Swells.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for.
I'm glad you got there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have you put any effort into like doing Instagram Reels or anything like that?
Oh my God. I hate the social media part of art so much.
Tell me more.
So much. I just can't do it. I'm just like I remember when Michaela and I first started like becoming friends, she like started doing TikTok at the same time that I was like, maybe I should do art on TikTok. And then she just like soared to 160,000 and I had my 40. And I was like, you know what? Maybe social media is just meant for some people and not for others. So I just kind of abandoned it a little bit. Like I have my Instagram that I just like post to like once a month. And like that just seems to be enough for me.
Like that gets the job done.
Yeah, like it's as much as I'm willing to put out there. And like I can't be bothered with the stresses of it. Like it's just it's so much to think about all the time, and like I just don't want to have that like constant anxiety of like, oh no, my like interaction is going down, or like, you know, that sort of thing.
Do you think it's like a necessity for a lot of artists, or it feels like a necessity for a lot of artists to maintain an active social media presence?
I don't know. I like really think it's a who you know kind of thing, because all the opportunities that I've gotten is based on people that I know in person, and like how I present myself to the people that I know. And like I think for some people it is like it can feel necessary, but like ultimately I don't think that it is or necessarily should be. Yeah.
So you've kind of decided, like, I'm going to distance myself from that and just focus on the physical in-person art process.
Yeah, and like, yeah, I'd rather paint the stuff than like, you know, post about it. I don't know. Yeah.
I've heard some artists say that like their social media is a way for them to showcase their work. Do you see that as... Do you see that way where you could be going about it?
I think like I kind of use Instagram as like a portfolio ultimately, like as just like finished works, or like if I'm announcing something. But like I'm not going to, you know, make a diary of like I'm going to post 3 times a week, because then it just becomes like a chore, and then eventually I'm going to hate it and I'm going to feel pressure to create more even if I'm not feeling necessarily creative, you know. And I never want my art to turn into a chore or something that like I feel dreaded to do. So, yeah.
Have you ever been in a space where that's happened, where it's felt like a chore and you've had to take a step back?
Yeah, because of like the internal pressure that I put on myself. Because there was a point where I was like really trying to make money off of art, and I was like doing markets and stuff. And then eventually I was just like, you know what, like I'm not even liking the stuff that I'm making. Like this is so stupid and just like not even fun. So I was just like, I stopped selling my stuff altogether, and like stopped posting as much, and like it felt a lot better. And then eventually after like a month, like I felt a lot more free in what I was making, and it felt a lot truer to me. Yeah.
How did you deal with that on an emotional level then, going from like feeling like you have to create constantly to make money, to sell it, to then cutting that back completely? How did you get that creative spark back?
Just waited for it, honestly. Or like I tried doing stuff that I hadn't done before. So like I would never make and sell like clothes and stuff. So I started sewing a little bit more. And then like I started using as like fashion kind of as an outlet, like a bit of a creative outlet, rather than like painting and art making. Also cooking is another one that I find really interesting. Like I love cooking, but I'm shit ass at it. But it's so like such low stakes.
Excuse me, I'm really good at cooking.
It's such low stakes though. Like I'm just cooking for myself. It's not like I've got a family to feed, you know. It's just me that's going to be eating the garbage, like, you know. So like it's surprisingly like a really great creative outlet. Yeah.
Do you feel like you can transfer that philosophy over to art as well then? Now that you're not feeling the need to sell it?
You mean like, yeah, like if I was the only person to see it? Yeah. I mean, the stuff that I post is pretty much the only stuff that I've made.
Right.
But like I never feel the pressure to post it or share it.
Mm.
It's just so happens that I quite like a lot of the stuff that I make, and I'm proud enough of it to share it. But yeah.
As an extension of that, then, do you think that you would still paint and make art if you knew that no one was going to see it? Like if you never ever showed anyone else?
Ooh, I don't know. Like I don't want to admit it, but like I probably wouldn't make it as much.
Oh, you can totally admit it. I totally wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you'd still sew if people didn't see it? Because
like I don't really wear the stuff that I make, honestly. It's just kind of like a look. Friends, look at what I made.
Yeah.
Like I don't really wear it out or anything. But yeah, I don't know. Probably not. Like sewing is so time consuming, and like really hard. So probably not. I don't know. It's such a hard question.
No, it's totally fair. Like, you know, I feel like it's really hard to admit, but I think a lot of artists are that way.
Yeah.
Even the ones that say they're not. Especially like where we're at the moment, where art is so commodified and everything is on social media and everything gets posted and you're making reels and TikToks and posts and stories and sharing every step to the final product. I think there's a lot of people that just wouldn't create if they didn't have that, not necessarily the pressure, but the idea that people are going to potentially see their art.
Yeah.
And I think like looking back, 100 years when there wasn't social media, the ratio of artists that would continue art well into their adult life is much lower because I think there's a lot less people looking at it.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Cheeky little penny in the well.
Yeah.
But how did you come across your current style of painting? Because it's very colourful.
Yes.
We were looking through it before, and I haven't seen anything quite like it in the Brisbane art space.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Thank you. I don't know if you meant that as a compliment, but I'm going to
no, I totally did. No,
Yeah.
I absolutely meant it as a compliment.
Thank you. Look, one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever been given is that if you can't draw a straight line, make it squiggly.
Yo.
And I think I always like dismissed myself as like a visual artist because I couldn't do realism. And like I was always surrounded by like my mum, who's really great at realism. So I was just like, like I can't draw, like I can't paint, I can't, create pictures because I can't do realism. So like that's the only thing that you can do. And then I was given that piece of advice and I was just like, you know what? Like I'm just going to paint shapes and then just see what happens. And I just like completely dismissed the idea that my work needs to be realism in order to be like interesting. And I think that just created like a really freeing kind of idea in my mind, and I just like let go of all that kind of stigma that I'd built for myself. And yeah, I just kind of had fun with it and like mixing colors and just like creating the most basic shapes ever. Like my paintings don't take long. Like they're like a couple hours max because they're so simple and like so minimally detailed. Like I don't want to be bored while I'm making stuff. Yeah. So
I remember a while ago I made a movie about a quote from Picasso, and he was saying how the general gist of the story is like he was in a cafe and this lady approached him and recognized him, and she asked if he could like quickly draw something for her on a napkin. And so he spends 30 seconds like scribbling out a drawing on the napkin, gives it back to this lady and goes, "Oh, that'll be 10,000 euros." And she's like, "Oh, but you did that in 30 seconds. That's not worth anything." And I was like, "Yeah, but it took me 50 years to learn how to do that in 30 seconds." And so I think like something like that, like, yeah, it's minimal, but you've taken quite a long journey to get to the point where not only can you do that well, but you're comfortable enough to create art that is minimal. And you have the artistic knowledge to back it up, I guess.
wait, was there a question?
There wasn't. Okay. I'm just saying
okay.
that.
Yeah.
I know. I remember hearing that story and like
Yeah.
that really resonating with me.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, cool. Like
Yeah.
people can value you for your time, not just for the final product.
Yeah. I think it's so like easily dismissed as well. Like people just don't really understand. Like the general artistic consumer like just doesn't really pinpoint like, you know, you've also got to pay your Adobe fees, and those are like $1,000 a day. Like,
Yep.
yeah,
They're not cheap.
No,
And I think people don't realize that as well. Like I have that a lot with video work now. When people are like, oh, why is your rate so high? It's like, dog, I get so little of that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Like it's gear cost, it's travel cost, it's Adobe cost, it's like my time in editing. Like it's just covering your time and your gear. And like you'd have that with painting as well. Like the canvas and the paints and the studio rent and like all this stuff that people just don't think about.
Yeah.
And it's wild. And the general, you're right, the general art consumer just doesn't see that.
And it's so easy to undersell yourself as well, because then you put yourself in the position of the consumer and you're just like, I'm not going to pay. Like if I were a consumer, like I'm not going to pay $250 for this painting that I could do myself. And like, yeah, you just kind of like lose yourself in that kind of vision, and you sell yourself short all the time. I mean, I do.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to do. Yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, if someone's like, I could do that, it's like, all right, off you go.
Go on.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Here's all my paints and my brushes.
Yeah.
Have fun.
And I'll pay you $50 for it. See how you like it. Bloody hell. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard though. It's hard to value yourself as an artist, I think. And it sounds like you've struggled with that a little bit in valuing yourself as an artist. How's your journey been so far in terms of finding value in your art?
Look, I don't really make art to sell it anymore. Like if I happen to sell a piece at an exhibition, then fantastic. I've only sold one piece, and that was to one of my best friends. And I think he bought it for like $125. Like that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't really put like a huge monetary value on any of my stuff, or like any kind of value on it. Like I have one piece that I would absolutely never sell because it just means so much to me. But like everything else, I'm just kind of like, it's just taking up space at this point. Like once I'm bored of it, I'll just flog it off for like as little as I can. They don't really... Like, I don't want to say that my art doesn't mean anything to me, because it totally does. But, like, it gets to a point where I'm just like, I'd rather just have the space. Yeah. Which sounds awful, but, like, yeah.
So if you don't, like, look at your art to sell it, what's it look like getting ready for an exhibition then for you? Is there much, like, planning around, getting everything being concise, or is it just kind of like, this is what I was feeling then?
Yeah,
this
like...
is it, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think about the exhibitions that I'm working on at the moment. And, like, one of them is themed. So, like, the 3 pieces that I'm doing for it, like, they're a series. And then the other one, I'm just kind of just painting how I'm feeling and just, like, trying to make something of a series out of that. But, like, I don't know. It kind of changes. Like, it kind of depends. But, yeah, I don't know.
Do you feel like there has to be a series in an exhibition? Do you feel like that's kind of expected?
I've sort of put that pressure on myself a little bit in like all of my past exhibitions. I'm like, this just isn't going to make sense if there's not more than one of them that mean exactly the same thing, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I know rationally that is not true. But like my brain is just like, nope, but it's got to be 3 and they've got to all make sense together. That it's, yeah. Silly.
Did you do any like formal education in art?
So I did in high school. I did like a couple of certs in film and TV and like screen and media and stuff, and then I just like didn't go into that at all. I don't know why. It would have been fun. But then in uni I did I started doing a Bachelor in Creative Industries, and I was majoring in graphic design and minoring in fashion and I want to say art history, I think, is what I was doing. I don't really know. But then I deferred like a year and a half ago because I was just like so burnt out from everything, and it just wasn't making sense in my normal life, and I started hating everything that I was making. I wasn't painting in my spare time. Like I was just churning out assessment pieces, and it was just so unfulfilling and awful. And yeah, I deferred it, and then since then I've just gotten back into creating art for fun, and it's just so much more rewarding. Yeah. So no, I don't have any formal education. I gave up.
No, I mean I dropped out twice, so like there's no shame whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's the only one that has a degree.
Yeah. Wow. Good job.
And Hexstat.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know if it's worth it, but yeah.
Do you think that there is value in doing a formal arts education?
No. Like, who fucking cares? Like, no one's looking at your degree as an artist. Like, the only time that degrees really matter, I think, is if you're going into, like, nursing or, like, you know, you actually need that education to be able to do the job. But, like, you can read a book about art. Like, you can watch a YouTube video about art and learn exactly the same thing that they're going to teach. Like, half of my fashion degree, like, we were just being shown, like, YouTube videos. They were just showing us videos from like commentary fashion YouTubers. Like I do this in my spare time. Why am I paying you to curate them for me? It was insane.
Here's 3 that I found last night.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, that's exactly that's the same experience that I had in uni as well.
Yeah.
Because I did a year in an acting degree, and then I did a year in a photography degree. And that's the exact same thing. They just showed you like photography videos.
Yeah.
Like the most interesting class that I had that I actually like found that I got value out of that I wouldn't have got from anything else was it was a history of Western art.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting because I'm like really fascinated by that stuff, but it's really hard to like do your own research for that sort of thing. And when it's presented to you in that lecture format, it's like, okay, I understand this now. But everything else, all the practical stuff, I was like, I could do this myself.
Yeah.
I do this myself.
Yeah.
Like at that point, like when I went into my photography degree, I'd already called myself a photographer for 4 years and been doing it for almost 8. So like, I was like, yeah, I understand how a camera works. Like, cheers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you had that like with the fashion degree as well, where they're like, this is how you sew. And you're like, cool, cheers.
Yeah.
I know how to do this.
Yeah. Well, like the fashion part of my degree was actually the most fun. Like that was the one I enjoyed the most because I wasn't actually doing like hands-on sewing or anything. I was like learning the theory and history of fashion, which I'd never even considered before. It was like a lot about how people use fashion as like a form of self-expression. And we were learning about fashion from like all over the world. And like if I was going to go back to uni, it would be to finish that fashion degree because it was way more interesting than like graphic design. Like I will be happy if I never have to look at Illustrator ever again.
Me too.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of graphic design, did you do any of that post uni?
Well, no. I tried to like do a logo for one of my friend's bands, and like the like communication between like me and this client was just like so long and just like drawling and tedious and awful, and I was just like, oh man, like do I really want to base my livelihood off of like waiting for these idiots to reply? Like it was
do it,
just
call them out.
yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
I feel so bad
Put 'em on
because I'm
blast.
still friends with her, and I don't
Uh-huh.
I don't want her to listen to this and be like, that bitch. But yeah, like I didn't want to have to rely on my creativity to like make a living, you know.
That's funny because we had the same experience in our like first proper job, and that like that communication between you and the client going back and forth, that kind of like
We're
puts
probably
you
far
off.
enough off that you can tell the story.
I think we've told the actual story before.
Go on.
Oh, well, we had, we did a product photography gig, and because we were trying to build like a little production business together, and we went and did it. He said it'd be like 6 products, ended up being 15. Came back, and like
They
there
were
was
big
all
too.
these.
We won't say what the products were because there's not that many companies that do it. But it was like fully like couch-sized products that we were
Shit.
hauling up and downstairs.
Yeah. And then like detailed photos, and then things had to be edited in post because it was like, oh, we don't have this product, but it kind of looks like this one. So can you just fix it in post? And then like back and forth, it got sent off to different companies, had to change different backgrounds, and just like kept going.
Yeah.
And that's funny how like your experience with one of your first jobs in graphic design kind of put you off that, and that was very similar to us. Even though it was a completely different field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting how experiences like that can put you off. Yeah, I don't know.
And it's funky too because we hated that job. It was terrible. Mm-hmm. But then a year down the line, I got another job out of that connection. They told someone else about us.
Yeah.
And then got another job through that, and that job was sick. So like,
nice.
You know, it ends up working out, I think. But yeah, no, that definitely put me off doing that kind of work for a very long time.
Yeah. I had something I was going to say to like follow on from that, and I just completely forgot it. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. It can be anything you want. At what point did you decide that you didn't want to make money off of your art?
It was like in my third semester of uni when it was just like I wasn't starting assessments until like the day of them being due, and like I just wasn't enjoying making anything, and I was just like, you know what, like if you get a job out of this, that's what it's going to be like. You're going to be doing shit that you don't want to do, like in order to live. Like you're going to be unhappy and producing shit you hate to live. And like I just like sat with that a little bit. I was like, yeah, maybe I should go into something else. And like I have, and I love it. Like I love my outside job, and I also love my art like separately, and I don't have to rely on it. There's no pressure on my art other than just as a release. Yeah.
How do you feel that that's improved your artistic process then?
Well, like nothing is being forced. Like everything is so like authentic. I feel like everything I make is really just like a true reflection of either how I'm feeling or like what I want to create. Like not that my art is ever really super deep or personal, but it is like a true reflection of how I see the world or like how I am feeling. And yeah, I'm just not putting pressure on creating ideas that end up being like super subpar. Yeah.
Do you think that at any point you'd reassess that decision and be like, oh, maybe I will?
Like maybe, like if I'm like 40 and I'm still kicking it with my art, and like I get this like huge opportunity, like probably I'd take that. But because like I don't know if I see myself doing my current job forever. Like, you know, say I live till 80, like 60 years? That's a long time to be, I mean, not that I'll still be working when I'm 80. When's retirement age? I feel like it's going to be like 112 by the time.
the way economy's
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
you probably will be.
I'll be working till my grave.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's go!
So, like, if I do get an opportunity to just, like, say fuck you to my current job, you know, maybe I'll take it. Like, who knows? Like, I don't want to plan everything out and, like, decide now. Like, now I'm enjoying creating art on the side, and now I'm enjoying my current job. Like, why do I want to put pressure on changing anything? Or
to enjoy the whole process of not even just creating the art, but not having the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Well, I don't want it to be a chore. Like, I don't want to feel like I have to do it to eat, you know? Yeah.
Do you put external pressure on yourself to still create? Because I think it's really easy when you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm not going to do this for money. You can just stop creating in general. Do you set time aside for yourself where you're like, okay, this time I do have to create something this week?
I try to. It's like, it's so important for me, like personally, to create stuff like as an outlet. Like, I can't exist without making something. So like eventually it's going to get to the point where if I don't make something, I'm going to fucking explode. And like, it doesn't matter where that creative energy goes, like as long as it's out. And I don't want to ever get to the point in my life where I feel like I don't have the time or the energy to make something if I need to. Yeah.
So that's always kind of an outlet for you.
For sure.
Yeah, right. Would you ever consider doing stop motion again?
I have been thinking about it so hard for like the last year, just like constantly, and I'm just
Surely.
like, oh, like
Surely.
what would I do?
I wanna
like
see
I
that.
don't know.
I want to
Really
see
want
that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It'd
Yeah.
be so sick.
It would be. It would be really fun, and I think very healing. So I don't know. Maybe this is like the turning point right now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
this is
go
it.
home and just make
Do it.
make a movie.
Little inner child
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
That there's a guy, and I feel so bad that I can't remember his name, but he did like most of the stop motion in the 70s through 90s. Like if there was a movie that had stop motion, like high chance that he was on it. And he spent
Terry Gilliam.
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes,
yeah.
But he's just released his movie that he's been working on for like 20 years, which is like a feature-length stop-motion film that he's worked on by himself, and it's sick. I watched the trailer a little while ago, and
What's
I'm
it called?
stoked. Not Gore. That's the guy from Thor. Let me look it up. Let me find it.
Because I'm surprised I haven't heard of this. My dad is like such a huge Terry Gilliam fan, so he'd like be fucking stoked.
But yeah, I watched the trailer a while ago. I think it comes out in August or September.
Okay.
But it looks so sick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna you talk while I look this up.
Pressure's on.
Don't know what to say.
You're not doing very well.
Yeah, look, stop motion. I actually dabbled in stop motion myself.
What?
It was, well, you know, like you grade 7 and you're like, got this new iPod.
Yeah.
And I love Lego.
Oh yeah.
So,
that's
yeah.
how it starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lego,
that's the gateway drug.
yeah, Lego Star Wars. And it was bad. It was like the person had moved to the other end of the room. Like it wasn't like they walked across the screen. It was like they just
They
teleport.
just appear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when it's best. I
Yeah.
think.
Actually, before I started doing stop motion animations, like, I was like a huge fan of Littlest Pet Shop. I don't know if you the little animal toys. Yeah. So I had like 50 of these little fuckers and like all these little play sets and stuff. And I found on YouTube that people were making movies out of their Littlest Pet Shop toys.
Wow.
And I showed it to my dad, and I was like 8, and I was like, Dad, I want to make a Littlest Pet Shop movie. And he was like, fuck yeah, let's make a Littlest Pet Shop movie.
Decapitate these Littlest Pet Shop.
No, my Littlest Pet Shop movies were very PG. Okay, the bird got lost, the lion found her. It was all very nice. Okay, but yeah, it was like me. Like it's still on YouTube, but it got copyright claimed, so you can't hear my little voice. But I was like voice acting for all these little animals, like moving them around. Yeah.
Was it like, were you proper stop motioning them, or were you just going?
No, this was pre-stop motion before I knew what stop motion was.
You
so
had them on
it
a
was
stick, and you were like,
no, it was my hand, like my tiny little hand, and I was like,
it's really cute.
I was like, hi, Birdie. Like, I just like my little squeaky little voice, like playing all of these little animals. Ridiculous. It went for like 15 minutes.
That's
Wow.
so good.
I know,
That's
impressive.
I found the movie. It's called Mad God. It's not.
Mad God.
It's Phil Tippett. So the other one.
Oh, okay.
But it looks
Other
like
stop
it
motion
came out yesterday as of filming this.
Okay.
So we will. I want to watch that.
Yeah.
I'm really stoked for that.
Yeah, I'll
he
check
did
that
a lot of
out.
work on Star Wars.
Okay. Interesting.
And Jurassic Park, from what I understand. Speaking of movies that we made as kids, I was going through a bunch of old hard drives at home because I'm working on a project that involves a lot of archive stuff. And I found a photo of me working on my first short film with my childhood best friend at like 12.
Nice.
And it's me with like a little Sony Handycam. Like,
Classic.
It's so cute. I love it. If you were to make another stop motion film, what would you make?
I have thought about this, and I don't think I would have any kind of story. I think it'd be very much like video art, just like very expression, like
Very abstract.
Yeah. Like I saw this one where this girl, she got a scanner and she was just like cracking eggs on it and just like scanning these eggs and like putting like food dye and shit in it and just like playing with like the natural shapes of these cracked eggs. And I just thought that was so interesting and would be just the most fun to make ever. Like,
there's a designer that I can't remember his name, but he does that too. And he like he does like a poster a day of like scanned images, And it's so sick what you can do with just a scanner.
Yeah, like you wouldn't typically think of that sort of stuff. But yeah, it'd be very experimental, I think. Because when I was in high school, I did a lot of video art, a lot of experimental film. And I think I'd just, kind of fall back into that a little bit, but, still bring in my stop motion roots, I guess. Yeah.
Combine them to create a little amalgamation of funky ass video art.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe that'll become my new thing. And, if I do another podcast in 5 years, I'll be like, oh yeah, I used to paint. The fuck was I thinking then?
Why would you paint?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think everyone goes through that though. Like I look back at my old artistic endeavors and I'm like, I don't understand why I did that, but then also like it was a necessary stepping point to get to where I am now. And I'm sure in like 5-10 years I'll look back and be like, why was I doing that? Yeah. And I'll be like, actually no, that was necessary for my creative development or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. I agree. I'm gonna bring this question a bit further forward in the show. Normally I ask this question right at the end, but I feel like I want to ask it now. Is there anything in the show so far that we haven't spoken about that you wish we'd spoken about, or something you wish we'd brought up so far, or a question you wish we'd asked, question you want to ask?
Oh my goodness, this is like so much to think about.
This is pressure.
Like,
there is a timer. Fuck. It is going. It is counting. It's what's the do 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 do.
Oh yeah,
that song. It's that
Isn't
one.
that from like The Grinch or something?
No, that's like Jeopardy or something.
I thought you were gonna do like the countdown song.
It's the final.
No,
not that one.
Like the game show, the countdown.
Is that not the countdown song?
How does the countdown?
What's the countdown song? I always just think of the sound effect that they use on like reality TV. That's like 9 8.
Okay, hold on. Something that I wish you'd asked.
You can say no.
Yeah,
you don't
no
have
is
to.
also.
No, I feel like because before I got here, I was like thinking about shit that I was gonna say, and I had like so much, and I know that we've covered like none of it, but I can't remember a single thing that I was thinking about. Yeah. And like I know the moment I leave, I'm gonna be like shit, and like I could have just talked about that.
You just sound like a 1 hour voice memo. Yeah. Just upload that. Just upload that.
No, I don't have anything off the top of my head, but I'm gonna kick myself later because I will think of something.
That would be really funny if we ended up just like having guests do a voice memo from here to the drive home with all the stuff that they forgot to say,
and then you just overlay that voice memo over the picture, this picture.
Yeah,
and just
it doesn't sync at all.
No. Yeah, beautiful.
I think that's a very very artsy film interpretation of a podcast.
It is. Yeah,
I'd listen to that. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
That's an art installation right there. No. Damn it. Back to the drawing board.
Stop motion it is.
You mentioned that you have 2 shows coming up.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about them and what the process is for each of those individually?
Well, like my personal like preparations. Yeah. Okay, so I've got Emergence coming up, which is like it's like Emergence X event space, like O-Week thing. It's very big and exciting. It's a 3-day exhibition, and it's my biggest one yet, and I'm shitting myself for it, but the theme for it is like future state, like how like I as a person see the future being, whether it be utopian, dystopian, whatever. So I'm kind of taking like a little bit of a darker route in comparison to my normal stuff. I don't know if I'm going to stick to my normal like color, like bright, fun, whatever. But I'm going to do a 3-part series that's like based on famous works that have already been done, and just like kind of create a futuristic like vision of them. Like one of them, I'm going to do The Last Supper. And
sick.
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to change all of the food on it to like human remains, and sort of turn it into like a eat the rich kind of thing. And one thing with my art, I love to play with texture. I don't know if you can really notice that with my like what's on my Instagram,
with
but
hella compressed Instagram photos.
Yeah, like in person, my work is quite like it can be kind of 3D and very fun. So I'm gonna go to like op shops and stuff and get some old ugly trashy jewelry and stick it to these human remains to, you know, sort of like drive home that, what did I say before? Eat the rich.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, it's like finding the time to do that is really hard because like I work a lot. And then like once I get home from work, I'm just like absolutely wiped out and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to fucking paint. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one. And then next month I have postdatum. I think that's how you say it. I'm not 100% sure if that's how you say it.
Postdatum.
Yeah, if it's not, I'm so sorry to curators. But yeah, that one, there's not really a theme or anything. So I'm really just driving home the like personal sort of diary entry kind of thing. Which I'm having a lot of fun with. Like I'm halfway through one of the pieces and it's probably like so far it's one of my favorite things I've made.
Yeah, awesome.
It's kind of killer. Like I'm kind of owning with this one.
Kind of crushing it.
Yeah. Like
I love that feeling on creative projects.
I'm not going to be humble about it. Like this is fucking awesome.
It's so hard to explain that to people that aren't artists.
Yeah.
Because I think people like the general public has this idea that artists need to be so humble about their work.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you just have a moment where you're making something and you're like, this is sick.
Yeah.
Like this is so cool.
Yeah. Like the background of it is like it's a circle canvas, which I've never worked with before. It's really quite fun. And I'm doing it as like my bedside table, like the view down. So yeah. And
That's so sick.
it's like very personal, very intimate. And I painted the background as this like hardwood kind of coffee table, like bedside table kind of thing. And it looks kind of real, like impressively realistic. And like as someone who like sucks balls at realism, like this, it looks awesome and I'm so proud of it. And it's not even done yet. Like
I'm stoked to see it. That'll be so sick.
I don't want it to like turn shit in the end though, and I've like hyped it up here and you see it and it's just like, wow, this is what she was like hype about. Are you kidding me?
I'm sure it'll be good either way.
Yeah.
What you were saying about texture in art, I love texture in art.
Yeah.
And I got the opportunity to go to the Krullenmuller Museum in the Netherlands when I was there in April. And the Krullenmuller Museum is a private collection that's been building since the early 1900s. So she has like she's dead now, but she bought like all of this art over her lifetime and then has passed it over to like a fund. It's really, really cool, but she has a whole Van Gogh section of this museum, and basically where if it's not in the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, it'll be in this museum.
Wow.
And I cannot for the life... Oh, I do. It's the cafe, the night cafe painting.
Yeah.
And you see that painting so many times online, like constantly, and like it's a beautiful painting. But seeing it in person, because it's a private collection, there's no guards, there's no like railings, you can walk right up to the painting, like literally centimeters away.
Oh my goodness.
And it has alarms on it. Obviously, if you touch it, you'll go wild. But you can get really close, and
you get shot on sight.
No, they throw a clog at your head because they have actual gun laws. But what I did was for all the Van Gogh paintings, I went to the side of them and you see just how much texture they have. And they come out like a good 3-4 centimeters.
Wow.
I was like, this is sick. Like, you don't get that from a picture.
Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoyed that. So
that sounds
reminded
awesome.
me of that. I
have
love
to go there.
Definitely do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love texture in paintings.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna bring it to a close. Joe's cannot say that joke. Joe's said his question too early. Okay. But that's okay. So we'll move to the last question.
Yeah.
And the last question is, what advice would you have for an artist who is looking to a young artist who's looking to just start their career in let's say painting for now, but general arts, because you are quite multifaceted.
Like to start their careers and like get their name out there, or just to start?
Just who's thinking about starting, who's thinking about taking it seriously, whatever.
Well, like I had a friend actually ask me for advice the other day, which was like the nicest thing that anyone has ever done, is like asking me for advice. Like you see me as like someone worthy of advice giving. But yeah, I just said to her to just like go to as many events as you possibly can and meet as many people as you can and just be nice, like just like be friendly, and eventually people are going to start like taking you seriously. And once they know that you do art and you start like applying for as many exhibitions as you can, like eventually people are going to say yes to you. Like I think it took me like a year and a half of applying for exhibitions until I was actually accepted for anything. And like once that first acceptance comes, like you just get accepted for so much stuff. And you really just got to like fight through that like year or so of constant no, and just like, you know, eventually someone has to say yes. And yeah.
Eventually it'll click.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
And if you get yourself out there as just like being a nice person who is talented, then
be nice and have good stuff to show for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically.
Sick.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Just my Instagram. It's Ruby Ford Art. Very original.
Yeah, very original.
Yeah.
I will
Simple.
link it as well.
Yeah.
It's clean. It's
Easy
clean.
to find.
It's
Yeah.
crisp.
Thank you.
It's not like.
Although some people think it's Ruby Ford Dart. So
I just love a dart.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's wrap it up. We have a tradition on the show for guests. We don't have the speaker plugged in today, so you won't be able to hear it, but it will be there. But what we're going to do is I'm going to do the outro to camera. I'm going to say bye. Joe's going to say bye. You're going to say bye. And then you're going to hit this little maroon button, and that plays our outro song. This one, that one.
That's
one.
pink.
The pink.
Pink. Pink
Yeah, you went from...
Well, because I used to say pink, and then people would start pressing this button, but
That's
that's clearly
purple.
purple.
Yeah.
So I've started saying maroon because you cannot. There is nothing else on this board that could remotely be maroon. Maybe I'm just going to go back to saying pink.
Maybe just say pink.
Maybe people are just dumb. I'm just
Or
going
you could like put a sticker on it that says pink.
pink. I'm
Press
going to
pink.
put a sticker on it that says maroon.
Yeah.
All right. You ready?
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for listening to or watching this episode of The Froe Show. If you've enjoyed it, go check out some of the other episodes. Check out Ruby on Instagram. Go to the shows Emergence and Postdatum.
Yeah.
They will be next month and in 2 months, I think, is the gist of it.
Roughly.
Roughly, give or take. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Also, rate us on Spotify. Bye.
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 Okay, sick. It's playing. Let's see if it's playing.
Okay.
Nice. Well done. Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was fun.
Good. That's all right.
Going with this.
It doesn't have to go anywhere, and that's the best part.